Hey, the Dolphins offseason is heating up, and lucky for you, Dolphins Today is here every step of the way. When anything happens with the Aqua and Orange, maybe the latest rumor, trade talk, draft talk, you name it, we've got you covered on Dolphins Today. That's why you subscribe, help our channel grow as we reach our new goal of 60,000 subscribers on Dolphins Today. All right, lots to get to on this edition of Dolphins Today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am your host, Jake Riepma. And anytime Tyreek Hill is hitting the Twitter airwaves, you know we are going to pay attention because that's the beauty of the Twitter or X, however you want to call it, whatever that platform is, that allows us to see and read whatever our people that choose to tweet are thinking. And the same can be said about Xavien Howard because both of them in the last 24 hours have taken to the social media platform to let us know exactly what they're thinking. So we'll start with the Cheetah. That's right, at Cheetah, Tyreek Hill had this to say on X. My boy Waddle is the future. He is better than I was at this point in his career, and for people in this fan base to want to trade him is ludicrous. Now, Tyreek Hill responding and backing up his fellow wide receiver, his friend, his teammate, Jaylen Waddle, because a former NFL executive, Mike Tannebaum, had this to say earlier in the week talking about what Miami should do as far as some potential trade talk, saying Miami are probably going to cut Xavien Howard, more on that in a moment, so you get McDuffie, who is a great young player. You still have a great receiver in Tyreek. Now, it's not an exact quote, but to take a larger context here, essentially what Tannenbaum's idea was to trade Jaylen Waddle in exchange for Trent McDuffie, the talented cornerback from the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is not a knock on Trent McDuffie at all, but there's no way I'm doing this trade, and I believe the Dolphins brass and the Dolphins front office feel the exact same way, and you got to give Tyreek Hill a lot of credit for backing up his guy, which is essentially what he did as soon as he got whiff of any trade conversations revolving around Jaylen Waddle. He said, absolutely, that's nonsense. Now, in Tannenbaum's defense, you look at Trent McDuffie's production, and he was one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. Obviously, the Chiefs had a tremendous season. Yeah, they culminated out with a back-to-back Super Bowl title, and Trent McDuffie was a crucial component of that vaunted Chiefs defense with 80 tackles, 7 pass breakups, 3 sacks. Did not register an interception, but this all coming in a sample size of 16 games. Now, when you think about what Trent McDuffie meant to the Chiefs, he was the 4th best player overall, the entire National Football League, at the cornerback position. So again, this isn't any ludicrous, well, even though that's exactly how Tyreek Hill described it, but the components of the trade in bringing in Trent McDuffie, yes, that's a guy that would help the Miami Dolphins in the secondary, but at the cost of and the expense of giving up Jaylen Waddle, when you look at the trade, I'm curious what your thoughts are. Give me a grade for this trade, A, B, C, D, or F, and you could probably hear it in the tone of my voice. I think it's basically about as bad as it gets for me. But let me know what you think down in the comments. No wrong answers. As always, love when your voice is heard here on Dolphins Today. But like I said, this is, for me, unequivocally a D trade. It's a bad idea. Now, there is one additional talking point I might add is that maybe you think the Chiefs add some draft capital to that, and perhaps that's a time where you could, maybe consider that a little bit more. But to summarize, I just don't think it's happening, and I don't think that would be a valuable ordeal for the Dolphins to engage in as far as trade conversations with the Kansas City Chiefs for Trent McDuffie. So the trade gets a D for me because Jaylen Waddle in just 3 years has really made his mark on the National Football League as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and certainly him and Tyreek Hill combined make up one of the most lethal 1-2 punches. Now, Jaylen Waddle's accomplishments. better than 3,300 yards receiving in just 3 years. So you can do the math, and that's 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, 20 total touchdowns. And he had a breakout rookie year in 2021 and just continues to get better and better in his first 3 seasons. And like I mentioned, pairing him up with Tyreek Hill, who you could make the case for as the best wide receiver in the NFL, the two of them combined for over 60% of the Dolphins' receiving totals in 2023. So the thought of removing Jaylen Waddle from the production of this offense, you lose such a crucial component of the explosiveness of your offense. And Tyreek Hill without Jaylen Waddle, who knows what exactly that would look like. I do know the one game Tyreek Hill missed this season, Waddle stepped up big time at over 130 yards receiving and a touchdown. And looking at that depth chart for the Miami Dolphins, that is exactly what makes these two guys very, very talented as far as a wide receiver combo. So essentially, you look at the Dolphins' cornerback depth chart, and yes, the addition of Trent McDuffie would be nice, but I don't think you necessarily need him because there are some moving pieces within the Dolphins' cornerback room that we're going to talk about here in a moment, probably none bigger than Cam Smith. Now, Xavien Howard rumors are hot. They are hot on the wire. We'll talk about them in just a moment. But first, how about a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor, the Game Time app, the only app you'll ever need when purchasing tickets to live events. They take all the stress out of buying tickets to a live event. It's a very easy to use app, and they guarantee the lowest price. So how about that? It's all you really need to know. Not to mention, they specialize in last-minute ticket deals. Very easy-to-use app as well. They also, what I love, they'll have flash sales. They'll also show you the all-in price, which, again, they guarantee will be the lowest because when you use the Game Time app, it takes the stress out of buying tickets to live events with the flash sales, with the all-in price. Lots of reasons to use the Game Time app. It's the only ticketing app you'll ever need. And not just sporting events. We're talking concerts. We're talking comedy shows. Anything you want to attend, Game Time's got you covered. And because we love you and we care about you, $20 off when you use that promo code FINSCHAT. And don't worry, we'll put that link right in the comments and description of today's video. Promo code FINSCHAT for $20 off when you use the Game Time app. Now, just as Tyreek Hill took to Twitter, Xavien Howard took to Twitter because his future seems to be in question with the Miami Dolphins. And essentially what the cornerback and former All-Pro for the Dolphins decided to do was take some Usher lyrics and an interview with Usher and use this quote that's on the bottom of the screen there. Sometimes you got to leave. Sometimes you have to go away from home in order to be truly valued and appreciated. Now, I promised Jack I wouldn't start singing Usher, but I think we get the idea here that Xavien Howard is what the kids call sending out those subtweets, those cryptic tweets. Take it for what you may, but here is the full context of the quote that what Usher said that, once again, Xavien Howard put also on his Instagram story saying, I mean, sometimes you got to leave. Sometimes you got to go away from home in order to be truly valued and appreciated and maybe find yourself. Sometimes in the wilderness, you'll find something valuable and you'll come back and can really enjoy it. So, listen, you got to give Xavien Howard some credit for at least being creative with it. He didn't just put the middle finger up to the Dolphins and say, see you never. He at least used the Usher lines there. But I think this is very clearly heading for a divorce between Xavien Howard and the Aqua and Orange. And when you look at cutting Xavien Howard, it makes a lot of sense from Miami's perspective because he is 31 years old, has spent his entire career with Miami, and it's been a very, very productive career. I mean, it's a career that includes 4 Pro Bowl selections, including an All-Pro selection in 2021. But again, sometimes that business or the nature of the business, if you will, has to be what rules out. And if you cut Xavien Howard after the June 1st cut, that would add $18.5 million in cap space. And we all know where the Dolphins are in cap space. So I think when you look at Xavien Howard, he's the guy that's trending towards that position of, unfortunately for the Dolphins, having to be cut. But what say you? Make the call. Do you cut Xavien Howard? Type C for cut or K for keep. Either way, let your voice be heard and let me know down in the comments. I think you cut him. And again, it boils down to a business decision. And with Anthony Weaver now the new defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, that means new opportunities for the entire secondary and a breath of fresh air, if you will. And for some, an opportunity that was never afforded under the previous regime led by Vic Fangio, and that includes none more bigger than the second-round pick, Cam Smith, out of South Carolina. Anytime you pick a guy in the first couple of rounds of the draft, you're obviously expecting big things from him. And Cam Smith was the Dolphins' first pick last year, because remember, they didn't have that first-round pick. And he never saw the field other than some meaningless garbage time. So we really don't know what Cam Smith can provide for this team. And I think under Anthony Weaver, and hypothetically speaking, if Xavien Howard is in fact cut, then Cam Smith perhaps has the opportunity to at least showcase what he can do from that cornerback position. No matter what happens, though, we will have you covered. And that is why you subscribe, because when the Dolphins make a move, we make a video. It's as simple as that. We always got you covered with the Aqua and Orange. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends as well, because we do this every single day. Also, great opportunities to become a part of the Dolphins Today community and engage even beyond the content that we provide. All that summarized in saying, subscribe to Dolphins Today. You'll be glad you did.